Hi everyone, welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert 𝐾 is your usual suspect once again. Welcome back from that thrilling midweek action in the UEFA Champions League, the UEFA Europa League, as well as the UEFA Conference League. Quite very incredible action. Chelsea very impressive, just as much as Aston Villa. But the best midweek games for me were Real Madrid beating up against Borussia Dortmund by 5 goals to 0. Vinicius Jr. dominating that second half after Madrid had been led were down by 2 goals to 0 by halftime. Very, very incredible game. There's something about Lucas Vázquez that we may have to discuss, perhaps at the tail end of his career. Very, very impressive player. Silently impressive, I must say. And then, of course, Barcelona beating up against AFC Bayern Munich by 4 goals to 1. Rafinha dominating their affairs in that particular game, scoring a hat-trick just as like his fellow Brazilian had done the previous day in Vinicius Jr. So, very, very incredible action. Arsenal just being functional, they just got the win and moved on with it. But anyway, that was there. Manchester United again struggling to win a game on the European scene, ended in another 1-1 draw when they faced their former boss Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce there. So welcome back from that action. Anyways, our focus turns to match day 9 of the Premier League that has already kicked off with a Friday night football game where Nottingham Forest beat up against Leicester City by 3 goals to 1. Chris Wood scoring in a double in that particular game. Very, very impressive game. There's something Nuno Espirito Santo has brought to this Nottingham Forest side, and they are becoming a team to beat because not so far back they were the only team, or they are the only team that has beaten Liverpool this season when they beat them by 1-0 at Anfield. So looks like he's rediscovering himself with the new team, with new players. Trying to create another Wolves kind of team. You remember the Wolves he had that had the Adama Traorés, the Ruben Neves, the João Moutinho's, that was very, very impressive back then. Anyways, so here is the run of fixtures for the rest of match day 9. Unfortunately, we'll be having no early kickoff this weekend. Usually we get a game at 2:30 to kick things off or to break the ice for us, but this time around we don't have one, but we do have at least 4 games coming your way at 5 p.m. sharp. And Aston Villa will be at home against AFC Bournemouth, while Brentford will welcome Ipswich Town. Brighton and Hove Albion will welcome Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are still searching for their first win of the season. And then Manchester City will be at home against Southampton. I think somebody needs to pray for this Southampton side, because I do get the feeling that they are going to get a beating, given the way they apply themselves on the pitch. And then in the late kickoff of the evening, Everton will be at home against Fulham. That game would end in a draw because Everton have had things going for them in recent times. Then on Super Sunday, plenty of games still coming your way. At least 4 games will be coming your way on Super Sunday. And we'll have Chelsea versus Newcastle. That is at 5 p.m. sharp. And then Crystal Palace will entertain Spurs in that London derby there. Then West Ham, a very, very poor or off-form West Ham, struggling West Ham, play as if they have rotten feet. That will be entertaining Manchester United at 5 p.m. And then the biggest game of the weekend will be between Arsenal when they entertain Liverpool at the Emirates Stadium. Now, just to rewind a bit, if Manchester United do not beat up against this Julian Lopetegui side of West Ham, they will only have themselves to blame. Never mind that historically they know how to beat them, but West Ham are just in bad shape. Everything that Julian Lopetegui is trying is clearly not working. It's clearly not clicking just yet. So they are struggling in their own respects there, just as much as Crystal Palace, who are yet to win a Premier League game. I think this season they've managed a couple of draws in there, but things are not really going well for Oliver Glasner. Really, really struggling in the Premier League. And then Chelsea, very, very big game between Chelsea versus Newcastle. It's a home game. Chelsea have been quite very, very impressive in recent times. They played some really good football. Never mind that they did lose against Liverpool last weekend, because while they lost, I did still think that they played a very, very wonderful game of football. And we're talking about a Chelsea side that has a squad the size of an army of ants. I mean, in every competition, they practically field a different team. But anyway, teams will play some of these games, bearing in mind that midweek there will be Carabao Cup fixtures, as we will see in the course of the week. But like I said, the focus of match day 9 preview will, really settle down to the game between Arsenal versus Liverpool. Apologies to all the other teams or the other fans of the other teams because I didn't get to do this preview on Friday. So we'll focus on particularly that fixture. So where do we start? On Liverpool's impressiveness or Arsenal's lack of life? They literally, when a patient is in hospital and they're more or less, they're not in a coma, but they're just there, almost unresponsive. But every once in a while, they'll give you a tight squeeze of their fingers to tell you, I'm here and I'm listening to whatever you're saying. That's the kind of feel that I get about this Arsenal side. They seem devoid of spirit. It's for now. It's like they lack life. The life we've known them for. That very impressive football, the progressive football, the fast-paced football. Right now they look just functional. If you drive a car, there's a time you're going to drive your car when you know many components of that car are not really in good shape. It could be your shocks, it could be your bushes, whatever. For those that understand the mechanics of the car, you understand this analogy. So, but then the car can still move for as long as tires have pressure, the engine starts, there's fuel in the car. So it's just functional. So that's the feel I get about this Arsenal side. They are functional. They'll win a game. Once they score that one goal, they have this kind of subtle feeling that we can defend this 1-0 lead and eventually walk away with the 3 points. For how long can they do that? I'm not too sure. It can be so long. Just last weekend, we did see them lose to Bournemouth by 2-0, conceding a red card in that particular fixture. And then they do come in the midweek, face off with Shakhtar Donetsk, beat them by 0-0. Never mind that they did miss a penalty in that particular game, Leandro Trossard being the culprit. The first 20 minutes of the game were quite impressive from the replay I watched because I didn't get to watch the live game. But for the rest of the game, again, there was that slowness, that suffocation, that lack of sharpness about this Arsenal team. And they're going to face a very, very sharp team in Liverpool, literally a team that is the opposite of them. While they've been managing to put points on board, but last weekend, you felt a lack of life, really. When you go back to that Tottenham game that they did win by 0-0, again, it was that kind of similar feeling. In the absence of Bukayo Saka, in the absence of Martin Odegaard, of course, they've not had luck on their side, especially injury-wise. Their players have suffered these knocks and nibbles here and there. So every now and then you'll hear a player is out for a week or two. Now, just prior to the international break, you had issues with Calafiori. He's played a game or two, and then he suffered an injury. It is said that it may not be as bad as it had earlier feared on to be, but still, he's going to be out. You have Takahiro Tomiyasu, who is, spent more time in the sick bay than he spent on the turf. Zinchenko is yet to, to show up because of injury. You have Jurriën Timber, who has been out of the team for the last, fortnight, by the international break, because he also didn't feature in that one, again through injury. Martin Odegaard, ever since the September international break, he's been out injured. Bukayo Saka had to cut his international break short and has been out since. While Mikel Arteta does say that Bukayo Saka, Jurriën Timber, and Martin Odegaard are a very big doubt for this particular fixture. If they were to feature, one would think that they may have to give them some injections, especially Bukayo Saka and Jurriën Timber. Arsenal may have to contend with the fact that Odegaard may not be ready for this kind of fixture. So, it's been that kind of life, that kind of team so far until this stage in the season. And then it also goes without saying that I think they've played too many games, although three out of 8 in the Premier League is too many games with the man less. So that means they've had to use more energy. So in some of the subsequent games, you felt that they've played as if they lack that energy, again, that sharpness, that quickness. And then I wouldn't be so surprised if Mikel Arteta decided to play a conservative game against this Liverpool side, because we are talking about a Liverpool side that is very electric with Mo Salah, with Luis Diaz. Diogo Jota is very absent for this one through injury, but he's one of those players that I know Arsenal would have had the eye on because he's very capable of scoring against them. And then Darwin Núñez did score Liverpool's only goal, I think, against RB Leipzig as they beat them by 1-0 in the UEFA Champions League. Just last weekend, Liverpool were beating up against a very decent Chelsea by 2-1. So we are talking about facing a Liverpool side that has won 11 out of the 12 games they played this season. No draws. They've only lost one game, and that was the 1-0 loss to Nottingham Forest at Anfield. And then, in the larger context, what does the game also mean to Arsenal? You've just lost all 3 points against AFC Bournemouth. I'm sure you wouldn't want to lose another all 3 points against a fellow title contender in Liverpool if you think you do have the title credentials that you think you do have. Then the other thing is that you play Liverpool, and after Liverpool, your next game is away at St. James's Park to play Newcastle, where you lost last season by 0-0. And then after that, you'll visit Stamford Bridge, where I think you shared the spoils in a 2-2 draw last season. So clearly, your next 2 games after the Liverpool fixture are fixtures where you only managed to take 1 point out of a possible 6. Not a very good picture for you to foresee. And then against Liverpool, you did beat them by 3-1 last season, while I think the game at Anfield was a draw. So yes, you do have that advantage that you beat them last season, but I do not think it will carry on given the kinds of problems you do have here. The question is, in the absence of William Saliba through suspension, who does Mikel Arteta play at that centre back alongside Gabriel? Is it 𝐔𝐸𝐄 or 𝐔𝐸𝐾 comes in at left back? Because Zinchenko may not be 100 fit to start at left back, or do you pull Ben White to play alongside him and then push Thomas Partey at right back? But once you push Thomas Partey to play at right back, Thomas Partey has been Arsenal's best midfielder so far this season. At a time when Declan Rice has seemed off, is been devoid of pace, and in the absence of Martin Odegaard, Thomas Partey has looked like he's the more capable player. Never mind that they wanted to offload him in the summer. Mikel Merino is yet to find his footing. We're yet to see the best of him. So clearly, when you're facing a midfield of Dominic Szoboszlai, Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, very, very impressive midfield. You want your best midfielder to face them as opposed to having him played at right back, because in the absence of Takehiro Tomiyasu, then you do not have that option. If Urian Timber is back, then probably you could play Urian Timber alongside Gabriel and then have Ben White play at right back, and then at left back you would have to play 𝐔𝐸𝐾. I mean, whichever player you choose to be faced by Mo Salah, you have to be very intentional against it. And then on the other side, which players do you have that are going to hurt that Liverpool defense that has been quite impressive again this season? They've not conceded many goals. You do have Gabriel Martinelli. He does relish a fixture against Trent Alexander-Arnold. Kai Havertz could give you the physical battle with Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahim Konate in there. And then in the absence of Bukayo Saka, personally, I would go with Gabriel Jesus. Although he's off his form in terms of scoring, he's not scored a goal, I don't know since when, but you would sort of need him because of his work rate. He will help you in the secondary press once you concede possession. In the absence of Martin Odegaard, who normally leads that, he would help you with that. He's quite very energetic. So clearly, we are waiting to see how these things span out entirely. On that Liverpool side, like I was saying, Mo Salah has been quite very impressive, good form. Luis Diaz, very, very we're talking about the Liverpool side, who Ancelotti by the way was saying they had yet to face the biggest teams in the league, that they had been lucky in one way, but they would judge themselves when they start facing them. They did beat Chelsea last weekend. Whether you do think Chelsea is not that big at the moment is a debate for another day, but they were quite a team that gave them trouble until it took a few things in that game for them to be able to win it by 2-1. And then they beat up against RB Leipzig, very big team. They went on to Italy and beat up against AC Milan by 3-1. They did beat Manchester United by 3-0 this season. Very impressive performance. So clearly, this Liverpool side cannot be underestimated. And in any case, I do not think Arsenal do think with any ounce of confidence that this is the best time they would have wanted to face this Liverpool side. And yet, this is the time that the fixture has come and they do have to deal with it. Do let me know what your thoughts are about this particular fixture. Who does Ancelotti give the authority to lead that Liverpool line to tackle that Arsenal defense, who are quite solid, but they've conceded way too many goals, in my opinion, in the first phase of the season. You conceded 2 against Bournemouth, you did concede 2 against Leicester City, you did concede 2 against Manchester City. So clearly, for me, as impressive as they look, in some of these fixtures, they've looked, a deadbeat. Anyways, do let me know what your thoughts are on this particular fixture, Arsenal versus Liverpool. What are your predictions? As far as my prediction goes, I get the feeling that it may end in a draw. And that is if it is a very good result for the Arsenal. Otherwise, Liverpool may nick this one away. Because, let's face it, they're no strangers at beating Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium. So, what are your views and what fixture are you looking forward to this weekend? And this is very, very important. Do not forget, today at 10 p.m., that's East African time, Real Madrid entertain Barcelona in the El Clasico. Real Madrid, fresh from beating Borussia Dortmund by 5-2. Barcelona, fresh from beating Bayern Munich by 4-1. They meet at the Santiago Bernabeu. I can't be more eager to looking forward to that particular fixture. But do let me know what your thoughts are on that particular fixture. I do think Barcelona have the advantage or may edge this one. It's a hard one to call, but they've been quite very impressive under Hansi Flick. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Do not forget to comment, like, and share, and I'll see you next time. Have a blessed weekend, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.